Okay, checking audio for YouTube. 1, 2, 3, 4. And a 1, 2, and a 3 and a 4.
Okay, good evening. Welcome to the City of Delafield Common Council meeting for Monday, June 15th, 2026, coming to order at 7 p.m. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please, Molly.
Sure thing. Alderperson Henry.
Here.
Alderperson Michaels.
Here.
Alderperson Valdey. Here. Alderperson Wilkin.
Here.
Alderperson Pavin.
Here.
Alderperson Price.
Here.
Alderperson Laughlin.
Here.
Mayor Eicher.
Here.
Administrator Hafner.
Here.
Attorney Jim Carroll is here as well.
All right, we are at full strength. Item 4, minutes. We've got several minutes here. Can we approve these all at once if no one wants to call one out, or do we need to go one at a time?
You may.
So if anyone thinks they're going to abstain or something from, or vote against, or suggest changes, please call out which meeting that would be.
I need to abstain from the May 27th meeting. I was not here.
Okay, anybody else? Otherwise, we can take minutes approval for items 4A, B, C, and D together.
I need to abstain from the May 18th meeting. I was not here.
All right.
I need to abstain from the May 18th meeting also.
All right,
by one.
I might be making this longer. So how about a motion for approval of A, B, and C?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion or changes?
Wait, you weren't.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay, or abstentions? Okay. Looking for a motion for approval of minutes from May 18th.
I move to approve the minutes from May 18th.
Second.
Any discussion or changes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay, or abstentions?
Aye.
So Wilkin and Pavin abstain. Motion carries. All right, looking for approval of minutes from May 27th.
I move to approve the May 27th minutes.
I'll second.
Any discussion or changes? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay, or abstentions? Okay, minutes are approved.
Jackie abstaining from, Alderperson Valdey abstaining from that one?
Did you abstain from the E, Alderperson Valdey? You did, okay. And you preemptively did. That's fair. Okay, that works. All right, well, thanks. Approving this many minutes in one meeting goes to show you what an election, some vacation, and a couple special meetings has to do with the mix. Okay, item 5, City of Delafield citizen comments. Does anyone in the audience wish to make a comment? Okay, seeing none, City of Delafield citizens' comments are now closed. Now we have an announcement for matters for possible closed session, and we will reconvene in open session if we do go into closed session after completion of the meeting to consider the balance of the agenda. So the motion would be to convene into closed session pursuant to the provisions of Wisconsin Statute 1985 1E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. More specifically, discussion between the City Council and the city's labor attorney to provide direction regarding the upcoming collective bargaining for a successor agreement between the Delafield Professional Police Association and the City of Delafield. The current agreement is set to expire on December 31st, 2026. Would anyone like to make a motion to go into closed session for that matter?
I move that we go into closed session.
Second.
Okay, that's Henry and Wilkin. Roll call, please.
Alderperson Henry.
Aye.
Alderperson Michaels.
Aye.
Alderperson Valdey.
Aye.
Alderperson Wilkin.
Aye.
Alderperson Pavin.
Aye.
Alderperson Price.
Aye.
Alderperson Laughlin.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. We are now in closed session, and we will reconvene at the end. Okay, looking for a motion to come out of closed session.
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, roll call vote, please.
Alderperson Henry.
Aye.
Alderperson Michaels.
Aye.
Alderperson Valdy.
Aye.
Alderperson Wilkin.
Aye.
Alderperson Pevin.
Aye.
Alderperson Price.
Aye.
Alderperson Laughlin.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, back into open session at 7:57 PM. Looking for a possible action for items discussed in our closed session.
I move that the bargaining committee to bargain with the police union would include Mayor Iker, Jackie Valdy, and Steve Michaels.
I'll second that.
Price on that, or Pevin?
All right, and
give it to
is Mr. Hafner included by default?
And Mr. Hafner,
Okay, all right.
friendly amendment.
Okay, and the regular cast, okay. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay, or abstentions? Okay, motion carries. Moving on to consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay, or abstentions? Okay, consent agenda is now approved. Boards, committees, commission reports, A, licenses.
Alrighty, Proofinity. The first application we have to consider here is for Kellermeister Beverages to serve alcohol at the Divine Redeemer Oktoberfest on September 13th, 2026. This is yet another of the AB 105 applications required by the Department of Revenue, and the representative, Chad Ostrom, is here to discuss and answer any questions about the event if you have any.
Does anybody have any questions about the Oktoberfest event? Okay, looking for a motion to approve.
I move that we approve the license for Brewfinity to serve at Divine Redeemer for Oktoberfest.
I'll second.
Any discussion or questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay, or abstentions? Okay, motion carries. Now you can see why this used to be something we approved at staff level. Okay, item 2.
This second item here is, in addition to a renewal license, Hillside has requested to add the Class C wine license as part of the overhaul to the liquor license laws a few years ago. They removed the requirement for having to have, I believe it was 50% of your gross sales be from food. I assume that is why Hillside is now applying for the Class C wine. They are now eligible for that application. So they do already hold a Class B beer license for that premises. I am looking for any motions for the next two to include granting the license with issuance pending any remaining background checks, completion of application corrections, and confirmation of debt clearance. There's still issues ongoing with licenses, and the PD has the backgrounds, but there were a lot, so they're working through them.
Molly, issuing this doesn't cost us a license or hinder us from giving out other license or anything like that, moving it from B to C?
No, so it's
Okay.
both. It will be B and C, and there is no quota on the B or the C.
Okay.
B beer, I should say, B beer or the C wine.
I would motion to approve the application for a Class C wine license for Hillside Cinema pending any remaining background checks, completion of application corrections, and confirmation of debt clearance.
I'll second that.
Any discussion or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay, or abstentions? Okay, Hillside is approved for Class C. Item 3 then.
Item 3 is the standard renewals. Everybody's in the mix. Publication went out. Several background checks are completed, not quite all of them yet. Mostly it's just the officers. So the agent background checks have been completed for all of the renewals. Same thing here. We do still need to triple check the debt clearance, still cleaning up some minor application issues, a period there, a missed answer here, but for the most part, everybody's got their stuff in.
So there's nobody missing that you're concerned about from the list?
No, I
Okay.
have made sure that everybody that is on our standard renewals has turned in at least the basic application materials. Again, they're typically missing, like they haven't filled in their middle initial, and the Department of Revenue requires their forms to be filled out completely. So that's really just me tracking down generally very minute errors in the applications, but there's 40 of them, so it does take some time.
I would motion to approve the renewal of the 2026, 2020 alcohol beverage retailer license in the list provided, pending any remaining background checks, application corrections, or confirmation of debt clearance.
I'll second that.
Any discussion or questions? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay, or abstentions? Okay, renewal list is granted, and anyone has any questions watching or listening, please contact the clerk's office. Anything else, Molly?
Nothing for me.
Okay. Plan Commission,
So the Plan Commission met last on May 27th. We welcomed in 3 new businesses. The Plant Room, which is on 412 Genesee Street. We also welcomed in Graham and Company, which is also on Genesee Street, 727 Genesee Street. And on 525 Main Street, we welcomed in the Downtown Natural Pet Store. We had 3 public hearings, and at our June meeting, we will have the same 3 public hearings again, because we didn't finish up and reach resolution there. The first one was on what we're calling the Hobby Farm, which is on Cushing Park Road, just south of the freeway. The second one was the St. Michael's Anglican Church. They're proposing to build an additional building on their site. And the third one, let's see. I only see 2. I'm sorry. There were only 2. So we'll have 3 this month, though. One issue to come before the council tonight, we need to approve the stormwater maintenance agreement for the Barker Hillside Condo Association that we've talked about before. So I would move to approve the Hillside stormwater maintenance agreement, which is included in the packet.
is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second the motion.
Okay, any questions or concerns? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay, or abstentions? Okay, Mr. Barker's approved for the stormwater management, or maintenance agreement. Anything else for Plan Commission?
That's all. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Dirk. Lake Welfare Committee.
Okay, Lake Welfare met last Wednesday. We went through short discussions on everything on the agenda except the item 7C regarding stormwater runoff from the east side of Negawago Lake. It's coming down Lakewood Court, and then it goes into 2 homes and then onto the lake. The Lakewood Court ditch is an issue that Tom has been out to, our committee's been out to, the mayor's been out to this. What we've been asked to do is obtain easements from, I think there's 3 homes on that lot. One of them's not interested in doing it, but he's the bottom one. So we'd like to make a motion to obtain easements for the first 2 properties who have an interest in doing that. And then maybe after those are done, we can eventually get the 3rd house to join the group. But being at the bottom, it's less of an issue to get the first 2, with some kind of a plan on how to remedy the water just rushing down there, knocking down trees and taking mud down into the lake. So, you have any more comments on that, Tom? Or?
Yeah, it's actually the first property owner towards the east, so at the upstream end that absolutely has no interest in granting the city an easement. And just for the council's understanding, there's a deep ravine that runs along Lakewood Court that serves regional drainage, but it's all on private property. So the city has no opportunity to maintain it. And it's really become, it's a heavily forested area. So the floor of the ground is completely unstabilized. It's all dirt and rock. And so when water comes through there, it carries a lot of the sediment, and it's immediately upstream of the lake. And on some large rain events, creates an obvious plume of sediment into the lake. So it's the upstream property that has no interest in granting an easement. He's really the property owner that we least need an easement from, because he's really located before the ravine really gets steep and deep. But the middle property owner is very much on the fence, not sure if he's interested in granting an easement to the city. And then the downstream property, she seems very interested and very cooperative in granting an easement to the city.
Okay. Would that be the proper way then to have a motion to ask for those motions on the second and third property on that street for the city to try to get the easement?
Well, we can't do it on tonight's agenda because it's not on the agenda for an action item.
Okay.
So maybe when we get to there, you could identify that as something for next agenda to be
Okay.
put on.
Okay, we'll do that way then. Okay, that's it.
Okay, all right, thanks, Paul. Park and Recreation Committee,
No meeting, no report. We're meeting a week from tonight.
gotcha. Public Works,
Public Works,
microphone, turn on your mic.
sorry. Public Works, we met on June 3rd. Two main items for discussion were the recommendations made by the council regarding the construction of the bridge over I-94 to begin in 2029. I'll defer to item 9B on the agenda, which kind of highlights all the items that need to be covered there. The other item was the St. Michael's proposal. The Public Works Committee looked at their focus was on the entrance and into the property, and they deemed, based on the proposed use or the proposed addition, that the entrance was adequate to meet the needs. So that was it.
All right, thanks, George. Delhart Commission, in our last meeting, we did elect officers. I remain the chairperson, and we've got a new vice chair from Heartland, and Irv is the treasurer again, or secretary, I should say, and it's business as usual. Things are going well, and I'm look for Rob to come in here sometime in the near future to give us an overview of some of the improvements we've made, but water's leaving the plant cleaner than it's ever left, so, and capacity's great, and aside from some occasional malfunctions of 25-year-old equipment, things are fine. But there's contingency plans to take care of all that. Police Commission,
No meeting, no report.
gotcha. Library Board,
We met last week, and the main thing we were talking about was, again, talking about capital planning for eventually expanding the library and how we would raise funds for that, how we would start raising funds for that. I think the consensus was, first we need to know what is capable, what we could possibly do up there. So I think that's where we're starting, and then there's going to be a lot more discussion on that, and eventually bringing it to the council for an ask of support, not financially, but just that you know that we're looking to do this, and that we hope that you'll support the library's efforts to make that happen. So, so watch for that. If you're interested in joining the planning and the fundraising, especially the fundraising efforts for that, please go talk to Stephanie at the library and get involved, because we are going to need a lot of help with that. Summer programming is already in full swing, so go sign up for the summer program, and don't forget to stop by the book sale on Saturday mornings and support them over there. So,
What's this Bigfoot thing? Do you know what that's all about? I saw it advertised. There's something about Bigfoot's hidden in all the libraries.
You should go check it out.
Okay, all right, very good. Thanks, Danielle. Okay, and director's reports in the packet. Zoning Board of Appeals.
No meeting, no report.
All right. Promotional and Tourism Commission.
No meeting. Our next meeting is July 14th, 7:30, right here.
Okay, Lake Country Fire and Rescue. I don't believe there was a meeting. Lake Country Fire and Rescue Board.
We met on May 20th. Anthony Arbusius, who lives in the town of Delafield, was appointed chairman. The previous chairman from Genesee is no longer serving on the board, so we needed a new chairman. The IMA was signed by the mayor on June 3rd? 5th?
Sounds
Something,
right. It was
3rd,
in
4th,
June.
5th?
It
A
was-
Wednesday, the first Wednesday in June. And,
Yes.
and that was signed by all 7 communities. We also set our budget meetings for Lake Country Fire and Rescue for August 19th and then September 9th are the tentative dates that we'll be looking at. The budget, more may be needed after that. My frank opinion is that there shouldn't be many more needed. A lot of the budgetary items that took so long at Lake Country Fire in the past were resolved in this IMA, and it should be a lot more straightforward this time around.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to that. All right, Dear Management Committee.
Your management committee met on May 19th. I was not able to attend because I was out of town. Reviewing the agenda, though, it doesn't look like they had any major topics of discussion. One point would be that we are in need of an additional member. We have 1 vacancy on the
Right.
committee right now.
Okay. So,
And our next meeting is tomorrow night.
all right. Good deal. Other committees, commissions, and boards? None. Moving on to unfinished business, continuation and discussion of the draft of the City of Delafield Classification and Compensation Study and possible action by the council to provide direction to staff regarding any revisions to the draft study and plan prior to its finalization for consideration of acceptance, approval, and/or adoption at a future meeting. So really looking for some communication on what your thoughts are about the study and the points that we can take from it and how we should treat it going into our budget year, and just general discussion questions. If you have anything more to add to that, Tom?
I don't.
Anyone have any thoughts about how we should utilize this as a tool moving forward?
I like the idea of implementing a structure and having, I like it as a starting point. I think that there needs to be a more thorough review, maybe from a subcommittee with the council. And I think that the implementation of this should be tied into going into 2027. I know the recommendation in here was that it would take effect immediately on the next pay. I think this needs to be tied into next year's budget. With all of the considerations that we have going on, I think that needs to be part of it, but I think the implementation of that makes much more sense, putting that into next year's budget.
I agree with your comments. I think it's a good study and a helpful tool. I think we can use it piece by piece as each issue comes up, but moving to adopt it, meaning that everything in there would immediately be moved to take effect, I would not agree with, so.
Yeah, I concur with most of that too, that the best thing is to wait for the budget cycle and take pieces out of this where we think it's helpful, and the rest of it doesn't need to be addressed in any way that I can think of.
So Danielle, you mentioned a thorough review. How do you foresee the council doing that? Would the direction be for the staff to just incorporate the study into the 2027 proposed budget, provide an explanation of how that was done to the council as far as the transmittal letter for the budget? And then from there, the council can see how it fits in with the budget and can make modifications as they see appropriate?
I would really like to see, I'd like to see a subcommittee of the council so that we can go through it I would like to be a part of that, or one way or another, whether we do it formally or whether I come and meet with you and walk through the whole thing step by step. I had a lot of questions about not just what they were, but how did we get to these numbers and things like that. I need to see how it happened, like how did we get these numbers in the first place? And if they all make sense, great, but I couldn't wrap my mind around how exactly these things came to be, and I need that to be able to understand it. So I feel like I'm probably not the only one also, so whether that's me coming to meet with you or whether we have a committee that we can all go through it together to understand it specifically, it needs to be one of those things, I think. It would take some time, so I feel like that would be maybe more appropriate to have some meetings to go through it in detail.
Yeah, I join Danielle in the feeling that if we're going to use it at all, it needs more scrutiny. The foundations and methodological weakness of this study were pretty profound, and I don't think we can rely on it for much of anything, other than as a piece of information, we can try to find something in there if it's useful, but the structure of how it was approached has no foundation that makes any sense. And I would not be comfortable with adopting any of it, just per se.
So I see a couple of elements of this, and I talked to a couple of people, you know, on the staff, and I think there's 2 points, like Tom's mention of perhaps including, there's a dollar amount, there's an ask in there based on where this, the study showed perhaps we're at or below some of the regional comparables. So that's clearly a budget question. So I think that, Danielle, you mentioned incorporating it with the budget, I think, and then it goes through this scrutiny that you're asking for, because we have the pre-budget meeting with the presentation, and that, you know, goes down to office supply costs level to staffing costs, what our staffing needs are, you know, and things like that. But there's also a couple policy decisions, like kind of an HR piece that I pulled from this. One of them is the establishment of like grade levels to give people a sense of where and when we're hiring somebody, of what that range should be when we're looking. I got some positive feedback that structure is a good tool for staff. And then the other piece from a policy standpoint, from kind of an HR thing, is the hybrid approach to applying compensation increases from one year to the next. Typically, right now, we're kind of tenure-based, where, hey, next year, the raise is 3%, you get 3%. And one of the things that I pulled from the study is that enabling the fact that that's a possibility, but maybe it's a 1.5% for someone who isn't necessarily blossoming into the person or the role that they were expected to, and someone else is just really accelerating through the ranks, and maybe that's a 4.5% for them, as long as that budget number fleshes out. Enabling like the managers to have that kind of ability to do that hybrid model that's in the thing, in the study as a recommendation. Do you think it would be helpful if maybe, I didn't talk with Tom about this in advance, but maybe if staff presented as a part of the budget or as a separate item, those policy things versus the budget things, as far as what they want to get from this?
I think
This
so.
recommendation,
I mean,
kind of vote on that, as opposed to saying, this study's perfect, it just fits right in. Because we're a small community,
Yeah.
we've got a small staff, and there's levels that are hard to quantify, and there's not a boilerplate we can just stick somebody in and say, here's the output of this big machine and formula. But I think using some of the tools with the hybrid model and then grade classification might be something that on its own could be a piece of this that we accept, and then the wage recommendations is something we incorporate into the budget.
Yeah, I actually appreciated the policy side of it more than, I mean, the part that I got hung up on a bit was specific numbers, like how do you come up with those goals? They just said like they set these goals for us. It seemed like that, I didn't think that came from us. So I had a hard time with the numbers and saying that we're low when we didn't set the goal in the first place. So I had some of issues with just some of the numbers based on that, like how did we come to this is the conclusion where even what the target's gonna be. So I had a lot of questions regarding that. But I did like the policy, a lot of it. I would like to go through all of them and touch on each one and see which ones we like, and maybe we can tweak them to fit our community better. But that's why I thought it might be more helpful to do something prior to the budget, because I think it's gonna be a long discussion, to be honest, so.
I would agree. I think we came to this because we've had a lot of turnover over the years, and so it's not a random sort of project, and the council wanted some organization, and it was the clerks themselves that came up with this organization. So I think I agree with Danielle. There's so much here that we can't just follow it rote, but there's a lot of thoughtful observations that we certainly wouldn't have the time or expertise to go through. So I agree, maybe do something proactively prior to the actual budget when we're under pressure and under time constraints, and have a better idea of where do we fit stuff in with a bottom line. I always worry about merit-based pay raises, just throwing that out there, because it could be in one person's judgment, and that gets tricky too. I don't like the one-size-fits-all either. If I had the solution, I would have written the book and retired a long time ago. But I do think looking at it and some of the policies might guide us to the compensation piece. So I'd be happy to join you.
Yeah, I don't want the optics of it to seem like we're pushing back against this. Like we approved this study because we wanted to make sure we're being fair to our staff. But I think that with the amount of information that's in this study, and I don't think I think it's a really good place to start, but I think we need to go into it fully conscious of what we're doing and fully intentional in what the decisions are. Because it is our plan. I mean, it's their recommendation, but it is our plan that we need to implement. So I want to make sure we all fully understand what we're getting into and what you guys want. Yeah, I would like some feedback from you, what parts of it specifically are most important to the staff, and if there's, which things would be most important, that would be helpful.
From my perspective, a lot of people that I've talked to know that before we even entered into this study, I felt like, and I said this when we were asking the council to approve the funds, I felt like the city pays its employees very well, but that we were deficient with 2 positions. And the results reflect that. Danielle, we do have the spreadsheet, the first page in the packet here. You had asked for where the increases are specific to positions. So we laid out the 7 positions and which ones are getting increases to get up to minimum, and which ones are proposed for increases for tenure adjustment. So from my perspective, getting to a competitive pay rate for those 2 positions was extremely important. And then from my perspective, and this is philosophical, but I think a merit component to pay increases is very important when you're considering performance and performance evaluation and motivating employees. We've had many employees over the years say, why are we even doing this? I had a performance evaluation with a DPW employee. When we were done, I went to the bathroom. When I came back, I walked past the lunchroom, and the comment I overheard was, well, that was the biggest waste of an hour I've ever had. And so we want to provide some incentive there. Like Tim said, we're not looking for merit to be like a huge component, but we're looking for some kind of compromise where a blend of, like he said, if we're looking to give 2.5% or 3% increases to employees overall, where high performers can earn a little bit more than that, but it would be offset by low performers earning less than that, such that overall we're still, the amount of funds we're talking about are the same as they otherwise would be. So those are the two components that are most important to me, and I would ask Molly to weigh in on her thoughts as well.
I think Alderperson Valdey had brought up turnover. I would say in the grand scheme of things, the city does have a pretty stable, committed staff. On the back end, there's always conversations about comparatives and moving over to the next municipality and what that looks like for folks. So I think having that detailed information collected and presented, knowing that we are generally fair in our wages is helpful for retention and hiring at that point. But I think what's important for me is to keep that information and to keep within that range going forward. So the problem that we had is the last time we did this and we had any sort of range or any sort of comparative done was, 20 years ago. So we didn't really have much of a leg to stand on when we're hiring people, be it for police negotiations or whatnot. So now having that information, I think I found important, I find it useful, and I'd like to, if we don't pick, if the council chooses not to go with the range that's recommended, I feel that some kind of a range, the STEP program, I really, for when we do have to make a new position, when we do have to hire new people, we can take that information and create a new position and put people in a fair range for their job duties and their titles. So that's what I thought was important. I do also echo Tom's sentiment with regard to the merit, the hybrid. I too am share, Alderperson Valley's concern about what that looks like culturally, but at the same time, I do see the opposite and have had similar situations to what Tom has experienced, where you go in and you have a review and the comment is that was a waste of time. And it's, I hear them. I don't agree, but that's kind of where that process and procedure would play into that.
So would it make sense, Tom, do you think you and staff would be able to put together, pull out a couple of the key points, like you brought up a couple, so we have, maybe at our next meeting, we have something to act on, thumbs up, thumbs down, discuss, and maybe alter from a policy standpoint, and also whether or not, you mentioned a couple positions that need, that there's good reason to change, maybe even in the near term, but to propose those and whether they get incorporated with the budget or now. I mean, just slice this up into action items based on backup from the report. Is that something that you think we could do?
What I'm hearing is that the council has questions and feedback, and so what I was hoping for is one of two things. Either each council member Molly and I would welcome receiving your questions. You can get them to us in writing, or the idea of a small committee of a couple council members to meet with Molly and I and to work through different issues. And I envision that if we had a small committee of 2 or 3 alderpersons, then the rest of the alderpersons could get their questions to those alderpersons so that, they bring all concerns to the discussion.
I would like to add into this a couple more comments. I could spend an hour just shredding this report in every conceivable way about how poor this work is, but I don't want to do that during the council meeting, but I would be willing to sit down and join Jan Neal in that committee and work through the issues with you. I'm greatly troubled that we have a report here that I'll just give the biggest issue, which is compelling, is that this report compared with the other cities almost entirely on base salary, when it's not even the biggest component of the compensation package. I've got a list here of like 18 things that should have been included in the comparisons that are not. I think we have the responsibility to treat our employees fairly, and this report does not give us a foundation that's reliable to even tell if we are. I think we need to go through this with a better perspective and make sure we get this right. Not just take some wing half-assed report here that doesn't really do things that are methodologically foundational in HR. It's junk. And so what I would like to see us do is go through it and come up with something that isn't junk, that we can do that treats these people the way they deserve to be treated.
Do you think there's a constructive way to carry that conversation with what Danielle has to say in a subcommittee to staff? I mean,
realistically, I would like to maybe start with one meeting where we can sit down and really just go through as many as we can. I don't think it would take, we could potentially do it in one, but I'd like to get it done before the next meeting where we could come back and talk about what we talked about. So
my hesitancy to create a subcommittee of people that are perfectly capable of fielding, asking and getting
Sure.
questions and answers from staff is the suggestion that everyone should go ahead and do that and articulate your questions to Tom and Molly about what issues you'd like highlighted from this report and get that done in the next 10 days and get it to, document your questions, get them to Tom and Molly, and they can come up with responses to all of them like we could have been doing for a while. So I suggest we make the commitment to critique the report however you want, ask questions and get answers, and then we can bring that back to our next meeting and see what kind of actionable items we get out of that dialogue. But I don't think we need to, if we create a subcommittee of 3 people, then we're scheduling meetings, and we don't need meetings to have meetings. Let's get questions asked, answered, and then come back with how we're gonna move forward with this. Does that sound like a good way to proceed? So if you don't ask questions, you don't have any, okay? So
Well,
let's get them.
Be careful what you're wishing for here. I fed this into artificial intelligence for assistance in speeding up the review. I've got a 27-page report here. I'll be more than happy to hand it to them to tear apart. But
You're
it's got,
perfectly open,
but I don't know that Tom and Molly need that much work to do. It's too foundationally big of a mess to go through all that to try to fix it.
all right, okay. Submit it and see what you get.
I will say, I'm going to be out of the office for 2 weeks in between this meeting and the next, so the next meeting might be a challenge to make.
Get them submitted, and we'll work around schedules, all right? All right, anything else on this topic? Well, like I said, from my perspective and just taking a 10,000-foot view of this, there's a couple elements of here that I think the city would be best served to implement, and I brought those up, and let's see how we can move on it in the next couple months. All right, next item, 9B, discussion direction regarding various elements of the DOT Genesee Bridge Replacement Project.
If you don't mind, I'll take it, George? All right. So if you recall, we had this discussion a month ago, and the council came up with some preliminary ideas of preferences and asked us to take that to both the Public Works Committee and to the Plan Commission. So we've already taken it to the Public Works Committee, and they've got some recommendations for your consideration. And we'll go through those one by one, and maybe you can make a motion on each one as far as whether you wanted to move forward in that direction. It's not a final decision, but just to move in that direction. And then the thought is, if we can work through these items and reach a consensus of which direction you'd like to go, then we can have DOT put all these elements into a rendering of what it would look like and a cost estimate, take those documents to Plan Commission, and then get a recommendation from Plan Commission on the rendering, and then come back to the council for final decisions. Does that sound like a good path forward? Okay, and then I'll walk you through these bullet points one by one. So first of all, when we left our last meeting, we were looking at a 5-foot sidewalk on both sides of the bridge and a 6-foot dedicated bike lane on both sides of the bridge. The Public Works Committee noted that our ultimate bike path plan calls for a bike path along Genesee Street across the bridge, and therefore they're recommending that we discuss with DOT the possibility of just having a 10-foot path on the east side of the bridge and not have any sidewalk accommodation on the west side of the bridge. I talked to the DOT, and in general, they are on board with that. Their facility would actually be a little bit wider than 10 feet per their standards. They're looking at whether a barrier wall in between the recreational trail across the bridge is doable or not, and it really comes down to whether they can incorporate the proper cushioning at the blunt end of the wall on each side of the bridge. They think they'll be able to, but if they can't get the barrier wall, then the recreational trail across the bridge would be 16 feet wide, and if they can get the barrier wall, it would be 12 feet wide per their standards. So with that, looking for council feedback on whether they are in agreement with only having a recreational trail across one side of the bridge as opposed to sidewalk on both sides.
Yes.
Much more preferable.
And I think it would make sense just to confirm, just to have a motion on each of these items. And it's, again, it's not final decision, but to go in that direction.
I will move to move forward with a sidewalk on one side and the recreational trail on the other.
No, just
No,
recreational
sorry.
trail on one side, no sidewalk.
No,
Yeah, just recreational trail on one side, on the east side, and nothing on the west side.
oh, and nothing on, oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Okay, yes,
That's kind of the trade-off that we had to give up so that
so we wouldn't have a
DOT
sidewalk
would
at
still
all,
pay
we would
for
just
it.
have a, okay, so yes, then I would move that we approve the recreational trail on one side and nothing on the other.
These recommendations?
Yeah.
That we move forward.
Recommendation on the direction to head with the design.
Okay.
I'll
That.
second.
It's seconded. Any discussion? Questions? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Okay.
Who had the second?
George,
George.
get your mic on. Oh, you did? Okay.
All right, the second bullet point. At the last meeting, the council agreed that we wanted sidewalk installed from Poplar Path to the bridge and from the bridge to Indian Spring. Public Works Committee, consistent with their first recommendation, suggested that that sidewalk should be a 10-foot wide recreational trail. So looking for direction from the council, or a motion from council to head in that direction to do a 10-foot recreational trail on both sides of the bridge as opposed to sidewalk. And someone could say so moved if that's
So
easiest.
moved.
I'll second that.
Any questions, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Or abstentions? Okay. That motion passes.
All right, third bullet point. When council was having a discussion, there was preference expressed for field stone on the outside of the parapet wall and a window frame finish on the inside of the parapet wall. Public Works thought that we should pick one or the other as far as a design and have that consistent on both sides of all the walls. And there was also thought that you don't really, if you're trying to simulate something that would actually be built, you wouldn't build a wall like that out of field stone, round field stone. And so they suggested that all the parapet walls be the same design on both sides, and they had a recommendation for a brick form liner as opposed to field stone. And there's a picture of that in your packet of what they're recommending. In the attachment, it would be page 11 out of 23. And it's a bridge labeled 20th Avenue. It's a bridge in Oshkosh. And that's the design that they would recommend. And they also thought it would differentiate us from our neighbors to the west as well. And they also mentioned that this would create a template for what, in the future, the bridge would be at Highway 83 as well in the future when that gets replaced.
The 20th Avenue one, it seems to have the blue underneath instead of the matching stone. If you scroll up in the pictures, 20th Avenue has that sort of
Yeah, so
blue
we're not
look.
talking about that blue element right now. We're just talking about the parapet wall on top.
Okay.
We haven't made any, and I'm not sure if that blue is a, yeah.
I'm looking, if you scroll up to 76th Street,
So,
they've got it, it looks like it sort of matches a little better. I hate myself that I'm rendering opinions on this right now, but
so far.
if that's not up for debate, then I withdraw my question.
So far, neither the council or the Public Works Committee recommended coloring that first beam on either side of the bridge, which some people do, like on the 20th Avenue. So that hasn't been recommended. That would just be concrete color.
Great.
Oh, I will move forward with the recommendation that we do with the, how do you want that, with the brick? Yeah, I like that one.
The brick design
The
on
brick
all sides
design.
of the parapet walls?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? All right.
Then the council expressed some preferences for incorporating some color into the design. Public Works Committee recommended not staining or painting the walls due to maintenance issues. There's peeling that happens. When you get chunks that come out, then you got the concrete color behind it. And so they said that we should either, or recommended that we should either keep the natural concrete color, or if DOT allows, for us to do an actual colored concrete where the coloring pigmentation is actually incorporated into the concrete mix. And I confirmed with DOT that they would allow that as a design element that the city would participate in. So I think right now, just looking for a recommendation on whether, first of all, to either keep a natural color or to incorporate a color. We don't have any recommendation on the actual color to use. It could be a gray, it could be a brown, something like that. But just looking for a recommendation on whether we would want to color it something.
I think the recommendation was either leave it as natural concrete, okay? Or not stain it, but put the coloring in the concrete. So just so we're clear on that, that's, okay.
George, which one in the pictures would be the best one to look at?
Give that picture.
Is it the,
So when we were talking previously, there was mention by the council on page 9 of 23, which is the Highway G Bridge, that there was a preference that we liked the differentiation in color, where they got the window framing and the inside is colored the darker brown than the outside. And that was either stained or painted on. That's not because when you do a colored concrete mix, the whole wall will be the same. And Public Works recommended that we not do a painting or a staining on top of the concrete.
I don't think it would be necessary to do a color. I think with the texture that's in the brick, it's going to give a lot of visual element to it. I don't think it would be necessary to add color to it.
I would agree with that.
So go with no color, or is there any thought that we'd be interested in seeing a rendering with no color and a rendering with a color?
I'd be open to seeing what the color looked like, but I'd be open to seeing what it looked like.
Yeah, same here. If it isn't a big hassle to do the rendering so we can see what we're really talking about.
That'll be an easy change on a rendering from one to the other.
Yeah, then we can look at it and see, yeah.
Okay,
Did you want a motion for that too?
that sounds good.
Okay, I will move to get an example of the color versus no color.
I'll second
Second.
that.
Okay, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? All right.
Just a clarification, Who had the second? It sounded like there were three people.
Dirk?
Okay.
Next, no motion needed, just letting you know that they thought the sailboat logo was a really good idea. It'd be a low-maintenance item, and they recommended that inclusion. They also concurred with the council's selection of the standard black tubular steel railing screening, which is consistent with that bridge in Oshkosh, that picture. And then lastly, they recommended that you'll see on most of those pictures that there's a name of the crossroad incorporated into the bridge. And there was a discussion about Genesee Street versus Highway C. And they recommended that based on the existing signage on I-94 that all calls it out as Highway C, as well as what other locations have done, that we include the name Highway C on the bridge. And we'd be looking for a motion on that one.
One other thing to clarify, we cannot put City of Delafield on the bridge. So that it would just be the sailboat logos, just so everybody's clear on that.
Right.
I move to recommend that we put Highway C on the bridge siding. And the logo.
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Abstentions? All right, we designed a bridge.
All right, thanks everybody for that direction, appreciate it.
Let's not do this.
Did we
Yeah.
get direction on the steel railing?
Yep, still tubular rail.
Ooh, what? Is it concurrent?
Well, yeah, I had indicated that there was no action needed on the sailboat logo and the railing because they didn't change anything. It's consistent with your direction last time.
On a
Right,
personal note, I'm almost in several accidents driving now because I'm just staring at overpasses. Like, oh, that one's red. I like that.
All right, we're done designing, so no need to risk your life. Okay, very good. Mayor's report. First off, he's threatened for quite some time, but Scott Hessinger is going to slowly slip away into a retirement over the next year or two. So I'm looking for a motion to accept the resignation of Scott Hessinger, our building inspector. Term to expire 4/20/28, effective at the end of June.
I would move to accept the resignation of Scott Hessinger as the City of Delafield Building Inspector effective June 30th.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay, or abstentions? All right, thanks, Scott. He'll be around. Tom might be able to fill you in with how the plan's gonna work for transition, but it's gonna be lengthy, so he's not just disappearing on us.
Good to know.
Item B, confirm appointment of Jason Cromie to the City of Delafield Building Inspector position vacated by Scott Hessinger, term to expire April 28th, effective June 30th, 2026.
I move to approve the appointment of Jason Cromie to the City of Delafield Building Inspector position effective June 30th.
I'll second.
Okay, and just to add a little color to this, Tom and I met with Jason last week for about an hour. Scott highly recommends him. He's worked with him for quite some time. He does a bunch of work with Town of Brookfield. And he's, I think, exactly what we need. And I just warned him that everybody really loves Scott, so he's gonna have to fill those shoes and take on that endearment position as well, so. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Abstentions? All right, welcome, Jason.
Just to clarify, Scott will still be around through 2028, helping Jason transition to the new role.
Yeah, there's a lot of tribal knowledge as a building inspector. You know where things have been dug and buried and built, and so he's gonna help transition with Jason. Okay, other things from my report, just to fill in, summer's off to a great start. Like I mentioned, May 31st, I was appointed as the chair of Delhart again. June 3rd, we did do the LCFR signing, so that contract's in place. We're all gonna miss each other, meeting every couple months for lunch, but everyone was relieved and satisfied, and it was a good event. June 5th, we had our chamber golf outing. Somehow between Tom, Amy, and I, we shot 12 under. There's this guy named Bill that kind of helped us out, but he's actually Bill Graham from Graham and Company. It turns out he's got a golf background that I wasn't fully aware of, but he thinks I'm lying. But we did well. It was a fun event for the chamber. And then Saturday, June 6th, I was out of town for a christening of my grandson, but there was Rhubarb Fest at Hawks Inn. There was somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 people there, so it's quite an event these days. And just this Saturday, there was a heritage hike where that was a good event between American Legion, Hawks Inn, and the Ice Age Trail, where they had veterans and representatives from American Legion at the different stations on the Memorial Trail, and they all met for ice cream and pictures and a ceremony at Hawks Inn. So, like I said, summer's in full swing. We've got lots of little neat events going on for our 250th anniversary in different communities around here. Just check them out. So it's fun. Summer's a busy time. We got our parade coming up too. And rumor is they're trying to get the Black Hawk helicopter here again, so we'll see what happens. All right, next, new business, 11, discussion action regarding resolution 2026-09 to appoint Ronald Sonderhaus as a municipal court judge on Lake Country Municipal Court as recommended by the Operations Committee and Administrative Committee of the court. Tom, do you know more about this?
I do. As you know, Judge Kay resigned from the bench. For the interim, a outside judge has been appointed and has been doing a good job of holding on the fort with Lake Country Municipal Court. But we are required to appoint someone from one of the member municipalities. The court accepted applications, and there was 4 different attorneys that applied for consideration. They were interviewed by the Operations Committee. The Operations Committee made a recommendation to the Court's Administrative Committee. In order to pass, a majority of the Administrative Committee needed to vote in favor of the recommendation. As it turned out, it was a unanimous vote in support of
Sonderhaus?
Judge Sonderhaus. And at this point, every single member of the court has to pass this resolution in order for him to be appointed. Not a majority, but every single one. So we are one of 22, I believe. And so there's been a recommendation by the Operations Committee and the Administrative Committee to appoint Ron Sonderhaus as the interim judge. And the thought is they're looking at have an election in April for a permanent appointment for the remainder of the term.
So this is a temporary appointment for Ron?
Correct.
I will move to approve resolution 2026-09.
Second.
Any discussion or questions?
I have a question that I don't know how to ask. I think I have a conflict in voting if he was my son's guardian ad litem at some point. Is that correct?
You're open to abstain.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Abstentions?
Abstention.
Okay, motion passes. 11B, review of the 2025 City of Delafield audit. It's in your packet. I hope everyone read it. You have anything to present, Tom, or open for questions?
Yeah, just real quickly, going to go through the summary. As you may recall, we actually budgeted for a surplus. We were expecting a surplus of $280,000. It ended up, we had good results, and we ended up with an actual surplus of $989,000. So there's an additional $710,000 contribution to our fund balance. How that happened, we typically are very conservative on budgeting for interest revenue, and the market was very kind to investors, including the city of Delafield, and our interest revenue alone was $185,000 higher than budgeted. Our miscellaneous revenue was $88,000 higher than budgeted. Public safety expenditures were about $150,000 less than budgeted, and that had to do with vacancies in the police department. All total in 2025, we were short-staffed about 1.5 FTEs over the course of the whole year. And that was just because of hiring processes and whatnot. And then lastly, the biggest issue is it was identified that there was a transfer in from the sewer utility to the general fund that was not made in 2023 and 2024. So this caught us up with that, and that was a significant, addition. So what this does is it puts us in a really good financial situation. 2025 was the last year where we had ARPA funding that we were using to supplement the budget, and also the last year of our approved levy limit exceedance referendum. So that's about $455,000 that is out of our budget, starting in this year's budget, 2026. And so as had been the plan, we've got excess fund balance. We're currently at about 43%. That's about $1.9 million more than our 20% fund balance goal. And now that $1.9 million is available to get us through a certain number of years with a few $100,000 structural deficit each year based on status quo level of services. So any questions on that?
Yeah, definitely feel free to reach out to Tom and Amy if you have any questions about the audit results. It's a nicer document to read than one that shows a deficit, whatever. Having a surplus is nice, so we're in good shape. Anything else on the audit, Tom?
No, that's all I have.
All right, looking for approval of the vouchers payable for May 20th through June 16th and April 15th through May 30th.
I move to approve the voucher lists.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Okay, we're paying our bills. City Administrator.
Yeah, first update that I've got is we did have our bond sale last week. This is the bond sale that the council approved, subject to meeting certain parameters. All parameters were met. The results of the bidding was very good. We had expected an interest rate of over 3.5%. The actual interest rate came in at right around 3.2%. It was a very tight set of bids that we received. We received about 5 bids. The difference between the first and second bids was actually less than 0.004%. So it was a tight range, good bid results. And the winning bid also included a premium, and that allowed us to make a deposit of about $134,000 into our debt service fund. And what that'll do is it'll totally fund our 2027 interest payment for this debt, and also partially fund our 2028 interest payment. And then lastly, even our cost to issue the debt with regards to our financial advisor and our bond counsel was a little bit less than expected, and that allowed us to actually decrease the cost of the issuance by about $15,000. So all in all, very good sale. The results are in your packet. It includes the sale day report, and inside the sale day report, you'll also see our Moody's rating press release, and our rating stayed the same as it has been for quite a while. Any questions on that? All right. And I was also going to mention the LCFR IMA getting signed for the 3rd time tonight. It was an exciting event, and the fire chief and I have been talking about this day for about 3 years, and the beer we were going to have, and we actually had 2, so.
All right, good deal.
Pretty excited to have that done.
Thanks, Tom. Molly, City Clerk report.
The city clerk has filled their vacant position upstairs, so that's exciting. Kate Bach joined us last week, Monday. She is very quickly learning her new role, and we are excited to have her join our team. She's been a great fit so far. The other item, I didn't put this on the list, but absentee ballots will be mailed next week already. So it is one election to the other. Just as a reminder to folks to get those requests in if they would like a ballot.
Do you like people voting absentee versus in person? Or in-person absentee?
I like a nice balance.
Okay, good.
Too many on either side can cause either bottleneck outside or a bottleneck inside. So a nice balance is appreciated, and I think we tend to have a good balance here.
Good.
so.
All right, thanks, Molly. Anything else?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, city treasurer's report is in the packet. Council request for future agenda items.
Yes, I'd like to put on the agenda for next meeting to obtain easements for the neighbors on Lakewood Court for the purpose of maintaining a natural barricade in the future.
Okay, anything else? If anything comes up or you think of something new, reach out to Tom, Molly, or I, and we'll get it on the agenda. So, seeing no further business, meeting is now adjourned at 9:02. Thank you.